In this session of the Purple Coffee Podcast, I speak to Nick Unsworth about hinging your own success on the back of others. Hello and welcome to session 47 of the Purple Coffee Podcast, inspiring entrepreneurial stories from some of the world's finest. I am your host, Turndog, and today I speak to Nick Unsworth of Life on Fire, which is not only an incredible podcast, but Nick creates rather a few amazing courses, digital conferences, and coaching and consultancy and everything else that he does. He lights a fire up your butt and many other business owners too. So I hope you take a lot from today, because it's in aid of his great mistake, which, as you can probably guess by now, is for my book, The Successful Mistake. And it's a great one indeed, because it shows that if you are hinging your own personal success on that of others, you're heading down a rocky road indeed. And Nick shares how he got into some of the early marketing sort of things, the network marketing stuff, where your job is to bring other people on board so you can help the bigger company earn more money, which means you more money and brings the people you touch more money, and so on and so on. And he was really, really good at it, but he spent his money slightly unwisely. He hinged all his success on the back of this other company doing well. And when it went down, out of the blue, he was left up said creek without a particularly sturdy paddle. And it really goes to show that when you're trying to build your own success, whatever that may be, it's about you and your team. And the moment you start relying on external parties, whether it's a big client, whether it's an outside agency, whatever it might be, you may face future struggles. So it's a great one. It's one I can't wait to share with you. We're going to do that right now, but not before I share a little bit more about Nick in personal bio form, like I so often do. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to the mighty Nick Unsworth. Is your life on fire? Nick Unsworth is, and he spreads his inferno as far as he can through his podcast courses, online conferences, and a business that helps spark a light under your butt cheeks. He's a cool dude with a cool smile and a cool nonchalance swagger. He's the sort of person you may like to follow, because when he talks, you listen. When he gets excited, you get excited. When he does something and finds success, you believe you can find success too. He's like a scorching Gandhi doing inspirational goodness for the hordes of others like you and me to appreciate. You ready for some sunburnt cheeks? Good, because Nick's coming at you like a fireball of funk. Here you go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for joining me. I'm delighted to have with me on the show this evening Nick Unsworth, who is the man behind the Life on Fire podcast, which is a fantastic podcast. Interviewed some amazing people, and recently he's taken an NTV Cribs type video approach, going to some really true influential individuals' houses and just offering a peek into their lives, which I don't think you genuinely see. And
I'm like a modern day burglar.
You are. It's like the modern day social media burglar, but kind of being invited, although I've seen some of the videos and I'm not even sure if you have been invited. It's just like,
right.
Hey, I found out where you live. I'm here with a camera.
Here's a film crew, you know.
Happy days. And I'm so excited to speak to you right now, because you've got loads of things going on, and there's the Life on Fire Summit, the virtual summit, which is just bringing together some, amazing people. I'm going to let you share a little bit more about that. Cool. Nick, first of all, thank you ever so much for joining me and being part of this.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm fired up to be here. So, appreciate the opportunity.
Life on Fired Up, I'm sure. And no apologies for the pun there in the slightest. Well, this is in aid of The Successful Mistake, who regular viewers and listeners will know is a book I'm writing about an entrepreneur's grand faux pas and how they switched it around before. But before we get to your big juicy story, I'm just going to pass it over to you so you can explain a little snippet about who you are and what you do, and also about fantastic virtual summit you've created.
Sweet. So, my main focus is, I've been an entrepreneur for years, and I'm one of the types of entrepreneurs that things never really have ever come easy. And, I've had to work my butt off for everything that I have. I've had to outwork, outperform, out hustle, people in my market. And my story is a guy that just has a never ending, relentless pursuit to do what I love, to make a difference in this world, in this lifetime, to have meaning with my life and help other people. And what's crazy is that, I've had to endure some crazy challenges as an entrepreneur, some horrible challenges. But every single time that I've go through a challenge, I mean, even today, right before I hopped on here, we had a server crash as we're doing our virtual summit, which we've invested tons of money into, and it's all free. And so it's one of these things where you can let those things destroy you. You can let them take you out of the business, or you can allow them to fuel you and to find solutions. And so, that's the one of the underlying themes behind my story as an entrepreneur is there's always a way. There's always a solution. If you've got that mentality, always a way to find a solution. And so my journey brought me to, becoming an expert on marketing on Facebook. And that's where I drive traffic. That's where I'm really good at, because that's what gives me what I call an unfair advantage, because I can build up my leads, I can create revenues, and I can grow fast. I can take this business, Life on Fire, that's only about a year and a half old. And, we're in high six-figure revenue, close to breaking that seven-figure mark, hopefully by the end of the year. And that's because of leveraging Facebook ads. And so to fast forward, I do a lot of business coaching as well. And, my mission is just to help people love what they do for work. And when you love what you do for work, you're willing to go through those challenges. You're willing to find a way to get it done. And when you love what you do for work, I mean, that's, to me, is where a lot of happiness lies, because we spend more time working than doing almost anything else. So that's my jam, is just love what you do, work with cool, good people, and have fun,
I mean, it's what it's all about. Ultimately, we end up working for ourselves because we want that freedom. We want to leave a mark. Like you say, we've got one lifetime, and it's about just me leaving as much impact as possible within that.
Totally.
And one of the things I've learned along this journey of speaking to people about their adversity and mistakes and failures is, even the most successful people out there, the ones who you just assume are they're unbeatable. They're so good. Everyone has been knocked down from time to time.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the ways to get to the top, inevitably, is to just build up this, this thick skin and to overcome adversity. I think you said the word a few minutes ago, perseverance. If you aren't going to persist at this, then you just have no chance at all. So next time, Mr. or Mrs. Viewer, you are online, you see someone who you think is unbeatable and just amazing, just know that they have been hit down a few times, and it doesn't come easy. There's no such thing as an overnight success story in my book. Everything's been hard at work. Well, I've got to say, I'm really excited to have you on board, because you've done a few different things and you've worked with some amazing people. I'm really excited to see the growth of the virtual summit. I think it's a great thing to bring it together and to offer it in the free way that you have, and also the sort of sales side of thing. It's going to help some amazing causes too, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, and so just for context, so the Life on Fire Virtual Summit.com is 27 entrepreneurs that are, I truly believe there are some of the most incredible entrepreneurs in the world. I mean, you've got Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. He's done over $4 billion in revenue. You've got Brian Tracy. You've got best-selling authors, New York Times best-selling authors like Steve Olsher, Mike Koenigs, who is incredible, John Lee Dumas, lots of podcasters. And so all that content's free. And then after people opt in, we have the next page, which is called the Business on Fire Bundle. And this is what, to me, makes it really special and unique, is that we asked about, I think it's seven different entrepreneurs to give us their products, that they sell for hundreds of dollars. And we created this bundle, this concoction of some of the best coaching programs and courses on leadership and time management and marketing and podcasting and this and that. And we're selling it for $97. So someone can get access for $97 to $6,070 worth of courses, and all the proceeds goes to Pencils of Promise to build a school. So the way I look at it is like total win-win-win. You've got free content helping out people, to entrepreneurs, to live a life on fire, amazing interviews. And then it's like, man, you can buy this thing for $97, get all these courses. And, in that, and then from there, that money goes to Pencils of Promise to build a school. So it's like total win-win-win. And that to me is why I love the project, because it's really helping everybody, So that's my goal.
Man, it is so cool, and it just goes to show the value in just giving these days. Thankfully we're seeing more and more brands coming up and saying, look, like, we need to make some kind of profit, we need to sell a business, we need to sell a product, but in doing so we're going to also help some really worthy causes and some people who genuinely need it. And whether it's a one-for-one model, whether it's using some kind of freemium model, there's so many ways to go about it, and the giving nature these days I absolutely love, and it makes for some fantastic stories. And speaking of stories, I'm now going to pass it back over to you so you can share that big, juicy, great mistake of yours. You touched on, some of the adversity you've come across. So I'm guessing you've got one or two things you could pick. So, please just share us that tale, the journey that you've been on, and I'll just sort of hop in from time to time with a question or two.
Yeah. So, I know it's kind of like, which one do I pick? I'm going to pick one that I've never shared before.
That would be fantastic.
I typically share, stories about how I had a business that failed, and I hired an advertising company, and we did TV commercials, and that was not targeted. That's why I started to become a Facebook ad expert. So that one, really is relevant and makes a lot of sense. But I'm going to share one that is just totally messed up. That's crazy. That was back in 2005. So here we are. I'm going to go with in 2000. This is going to be a hybrid of almost two stories. So in 2001, I'm in college at University of Connecticut. I'm hungry, and all I want to do is just live a life on fire. I just want to live the dream. And I got a great internship as a financial advisor. And I looked at it, I'm like, this is a great plan. Like, normally people have to work 40 years and then they get to retire. And selling life insurance, I could work 20 years and then build up residual income with life insurance and be able to retire in 20 years. And so I'm like, I'll do that. So I was an intern there. My mentor sits me down, shows me network marketing. And network marketing is, like companies like Mary Kay, Avon. And he convinced me that could have been a 5-year plan, because of residual income. So I was like, okay. So I started doing that. And every single human being I talked to, I tried to, share my opportunity with them and get them as a customer. Every human being literally that I knew said no. And I was flabbergasted, and it was like, what to do now? I went back to my mentor, and he said, all right, you gotta learn how to network. You gotta do all these things. So I did, persevered through it, ended up becoming the rookie of the year at a $2 billion network marketing company called Excel. And we sold telecom services. So we sold, phone service. I mean, literally your home landline. I mean, we all have cell phones now, but in 2001, I was selling landlines. I mean, and it was a little weird because cell phones had been out. And so no one really wanted a landline, but that's the products that we had. And the company was moving into cell phones and things. So we were selling products that weren't that relevant. They weren't juicy. They weren't what people wanted, but we're persevering through it. And long story short, I graduated from college in 2004, did not take a job, turned him down, and I kept going with my business. I ended up making a few bucks, and I was doing pretty well with the company. It was, very low 6 figures, but I was 21 years old. I mean, that's like being a millionaire at 21, and so I was making some money, went out and leased M3 BMW, got the nice fancy place, was living large like an idiot. And, soon after I graduate, I'm living large, get the car. And then out of nowhere, the company unexpectedly files bankruptcy, and we all get screwed. All these commissions I was supposed to get, all this money, totally screwed. And the big thing is that I had my biggest month ever in August. And so I had just recruited a ton of kids from college that put their faith and their trust in me. And the company that I just sold them on and the opportunity went bankrupt. And imagine how devastating that is for them and for me. And so I reached into my pockets, and the company wasn't going to give them their money back. So I did. And I quickly burned through all my cash, giving people their money back. And so I did the right thing, but it also just financially crippled me. And so from there, I was like, all right. So I then chased the next opportunity, and I chased the next opportunity into real estate. And so this is now figure 2005. And so I start seeing what's going on. I'm doing other things on the side, but I was like, all right, well, maybe the mortgage business is where it's at. May not be my full passion in life, but I've got a buddy that's making a lot of money in it. It seems like it's more flexible, so it's not like a traditional corporate job. So come 2006, I start getting into it. So I get trained up, and I was kind of chasing the money again, right? So I get trained up in Connecticut. My buddy who lives in San Diego gives me an offer and says, I'm going to back up a step. So I get trained up in '05, and this is kind of almost three mini failures all at once. So I'll pack it in. But so in '05, right, I get trained up in the mortgage industry in '05 and '06, and I'm working, and I knew that the company that I was at was called New Century, and they were a huge lender. And they were one of these types of shops where I knew I was only there for a short amount of time, because the company I really wanted to work for, they didn't start until January. So I had to burn a couple months, and I was like, all right, might as well work for this company that I knew wasn't like a great company. So I started working with them. And in this chop shop, basically, you're getting all these leads, and everyone's calling all these leads. And I met some people that were just not ideal people to be hanging around with. There was very, very low requirements to work there. One guy had been in jail. I mean, it was insane. And long story short, we're calling these leads. And the problem was that I discovered that the company that I was working with, their interest rates were higher than everybody else's. So it was kind of, so we're looking at these leads. We ended up just like what I thought was doing the right thing, and we were referring them to other people that got them really good deals. And long story short, we had all these people that were refinancing, and they were pulling cash out of their homes to do remodeling. And then I get the bright idea and say, every day we're coming across 2, 3, 4 people that want to remodel their homes, and that's why they're refinancing. And so I said, wouldn't it be cool if we could partner with a contractor and start a home improvement business, because we have all these leads. We have the business. We just need someone that knows how to be a contractor. And so what do? I partner with this guy. I didn't spend enough time vetting him as a partner, which was a huge mistake. And he had the contractor that we were looking for, and he swore by him that he was the best. He was, he worked with him at another company. He was the best contractor, in Connecticut, this and that. And so I'm trusting him. And so we come together, the three of us. I handle the marketing. I start running ads. I'm now booking up appointments. So on a Saturday, which is the only day that I could go on these things, these jobs, I booked up literally 10 appointments every Saturday. We had so many leads. So here I booked all these appointments, had it all dialed in, and then all we have to do is have the contractor go to the client's homes, which I organized geographically around the state so he could drive in order and hit them all. And then he would just give them bids on the jobs, and then, bring on the subcontractors and do the work, right? So the problem is that the contractor, I get there, I show up at the first house, and, I meet the client, and he's nowhere to be found. Call him on his cell phone, nowhere to be found. I'm like freaking out. What's happening? By this time, I go to the next one. Maybe he'll meet me at the next one. Go to the next home. He's not there. Turns out he's in bed. He's in bed, back home, and he's not getting out of bed either. And imagine a grown man not getting out of bed. Like, we just went into business together. Like, all I need to, and this is almost embarrassing to share the story. So there I was in a situation where this guy was so just flaky and just not incompetent. And so we end up getting another contractor, long story short, and end up doing a couple jobs. And we end up getting some bids. And then the contractor, and if anyone's ever worked with contractors, if you get a bad one, they can be awful to work with, because they can be a nightmare. And so long story short, the next person, we didn't do a good enough job vetting them. So we had multiple jobs running, and one of them was for one of my family friends' bathrooms. And imagine it's my family friend and it's my business. And it's like, oh my God, the contractor's not showing up. The bathroom job that was supposed to take a week is taking a month, And so there I was, stuck again. And it was my reputation on the line. And so even though that the money went to the contractor, I ended up having to take money out of my, on credit cards, and I had to pay another contractor to finish the job. And it was just a real nightmare. And the takeaway is that, for me is that I always thought that I needed a business partner. I always thought that I needed someone else. And, that to me is a recipe for disaster. And I think that as an entrepreneur, we really have to really have to believe in ourselves enough. We've got to work on our confidence every single day, work on our skills and really build ourselves up, because when you put your faith in someone else, you can't control them. And if you are going to have a business partner, you just have to vet them, and you have to really make sure that the agreements and all that stuff is totally ironclad. Because my theme as an entrepreneur is throughout my 20s, I kept having bad partnerships until I finally realized that, what if I got a business coach instead of a business partner? And that was my big aha moment, one of them that made all the difference, because I could control myself. I could control my own destiny, and oftentimes a business partner may come on, they might have the great intentions, but who knows? What if they have a baby? What if they, their passion changes? It's a whole nother ball game. And so, instead of getting another business partner, I now have a business coach, and that business coach can guide me. I can, fire that business coach and get another one if I need to. And that totally and radically changed, my entrepreneurial journey, because even though I did well in that network marketing company in college, throughout almost all of my 20s, it was a constant struggle, and it was a constant battle, and it was tough, and it was really brutal, and I sacrificed a lot, and I always had my chin up, but it really beat me down quite a bit. And the reason why I do what I do now as a business coach is because when I hired a business coach, everything changed, and that radically changed my business. It radically changed my life. And that's why I, do business coaching, amongst Facebook advertising too. But that's why I do what I do today, because I see entrepreneurs that are going through a major struggle. And it's like, now I've gone through so many, I can help them navigate even faster and make their life easier as an entrepreneur, which is always good. So.
Absolutely. And I think one of the overriding themes for all that is, you kind of was having a reliance on other people and third-party companies,
Yeah.
You were over reliant on the network marketing companies, so when they went bankrupt, all of a sudden it was your reputation on the line. And obviously, you being the person you are, you had this, this, I suppose, moral obligation to make sure that these other people weren't going to suffer, because they'd kind of bought into you rather than into the whole process. And then the same thing with the contractor. Again, you're relying on business partners and contractors, so when they let you down, again, it's your reputation. And as entrepreneurs, all we ultimately have is our reputation. Once that starts going south, we're not left with a great deal. So if you rely too heavily on whether it's a company, whether it's some kind of vendor, whether it's a business partner, it really is kind of taking away a huge part of your UVP, aka yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
So I suppose that has given you a completely new sort of insight when you go into new ventures. I mean, you've talked about getting a business coach. Would you still kind of, I suppose, get into bed with other people? Would you still kind of sort of look at getting business partners, or is it very much like I want to do things on my own boat?
It's tempting, but the way I think about it is it depends what your intentions are. I think, I sold a business by 30, and that for me was a dream that I had since I was a kid. And once I did it, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought the money was going to make me happy. I thought that all these things were going to happen, and the notoriety, or like my parents would be proud, and like all these cool things. And none of that happened. It's kind of like if you make your goal to get like a car, and you obsess about it for years. If you're a young guy, then you get the car and you're like, wow, the car doesn't matter. The car doesn't make me happy. The journey to get there was fun, exhilarating, proving that you could do it. So the thing is that what I realized with selling a business is that I sold something that I enjoyed. when I sold my business. And then I had partners, and then my partners had control. And it quickly became not fun again. And so what's crazy is that by selling a business, you don't just build one and just sell it. There's an earn out. You've got to stay on. It's a lot different than I ever expected. And the money didn't necessarily make me happy in that scenario. So what my perspective is to have a business that you truly love 100%. And if it's your passion and it's your hobby and it's the legacy that you're building and it's the footprint that you're going to leave on this earth, then why on earth would you ever want to sell that? And if it's your baby like that, bringing on another partner can be very dangerous because their lives are going to change. Things are going to happen. There could be disagreements that go on, and it adds complexity. And whereas you can accomplish the same things you can have a profit share pool. You can have bonuses, have things that happen. So the way I look at it now is my life is going to change. My vision's going to change. How I want to help people, how I want to serve is going to change. And, if I had a business partner, they may not always agree with that same direction. But for me, business, in my opinion, is about loving what you do, serving and giving back and helping. And when you're doing that for your own business and you can make all these changes and you can make all the decisions, then, why would you ever want to sell that? We spend more time working than we do anything else. If you study people that retire, and I just had two parents that have both retired, and it's very fascinating to see what happens to their lives. They've waited their whole life for retirement, but then now that they are retired, it's like, well, what the heck do we do?
Yeah.
And happiness comes from accomplishment. Happiness comes from fulfillment, from helping others and doing stuff. And so we're creatures of habit and we need to work. And so for me, it's no matter, even when I have kids one day, I've got a beautiful fiance, I can't wait to have kids, but even when I do, I drive meaning from my work. And so that's why I'm always going to want to do it. And now it's like, now that I've learned what I learned from selling a business, it's like, I want that to be something that I love, enjoy the process. And that's my ultimate message is enjoy your journey along the way. Don't just wait to the end destination. Love what you do now, and the money will follow. It always does.
It sounds like you've taken a complete sort of turn of course from where once upon a time you were chasing more the money and the opportunity and that sort of next gap in the market, whereas now it's all about your sort of passion and something that's going to make you happy. And I suppose that's ultimately the trouble with working with a partner in whatever facet it may be, because even if you are best friends and you've known each other your entire life, you're not going to have the same personality. Your wants and needs aren't going to quite align. And take the virtual summit at the moment. If you were in, a split 50-50 partnership, chances are, your business partner would be like, well, I don't want to give all this free content away. I don't want to give the $97 to, this charity, or maybe I want to give it to a different charity. Whereas if you're doing it on your own back, you kind of have that ownership, and you're still able to use coaches and mentors and different kind of people, but you're able to do it, I suppose, on your terms with a bit more freedom.
Absolutely. Yeah, you nailed it for sure.
So, when did that sort of tipping point really come? Was it after the sort of real estate? Because I'm guessing you kind of went through the real estate sort of dip in sort of 2008 and things started.
Oh, yeah.
So when did the kind of tipping point come where you reached to the point of like, I've got to stop chasing these opportunities. I've got to stop chasing this dragon and start sort of focusing on me and what makes me happy. Because like you said, I remember when my dad became semi-retired, he loved gardening and having that freedom for like 6 weeks. But then afterwards, just chomping at the bit. And once you kind of have something like that removed, you don't realize just how valuable it was in the first place.
Oh, yeah. It's so true. I went from that situation with the home improvement company in doing mortgages. I chased straight into real estate, moved across the country in 2007, summer of '07, landed in San Diego, was doing a project on the Hard Rock Hotel. I was supposed to do probably 400 grand in like income. So I was doing about 150 loans with a buddy, and moved out there. The meltdown happened technically in 2007, right after I got to San Diego. The whole market imploded. Everything totally went berserk. And that led to a very challenging work experience for 6 months. Came back to Connecticut, and I was so beat down I weighed more than I've ever weighed my entire life. Had heart issues. Like it was bad. My health, like it was scary. It was bad. And finally I was like, you know what? I need to just do something that I love, and created a concept that gave back to charity. Built that thing out. It was what looked like a home run. I mean, everyone was, everything was looking really good. I mean, I created a concept that was a win for local consumers. It was a win for charities. And long story short, I ended up making a bad move by hiring an advertising company. The advertising company encouraged me to go and to do TV commercials, and despite my grassroots kind of marketing plan. So the commercials just devastated the business because I put in 30 grand and I only made back $280, and half that money went to charity. And so that situation again torpedoed another business, and it was devastating. And so by the end of it, I ended up being about $50,000 in debt after everything that happened. It's, there's quite a bit of a story in there. And what happened is that there I was with all this debt, and but I now had the mission to find a better way, because I had lost all that money from traditional advertising, and I was like, this is insane. Like this is normal to people. Like at the time in 2010, people were accustomed to advertising for branding and losing money. And I was like, you know what? There has to be a better way. So that's when I just made it my mission. I learned Facebook marketing and advertising, and learned and learned and learned and learned. And I started small. I started with the first clients I didn't even charge, and then I got them results. Then I started charging $200, $500, and I kept going up, 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 and up. And the more money that I made people, the more I would charge. And so long story short is that business, I ended up just being, because once I had progress, it created momentum, and I was doing great work for people, and that kept going and going and going, to the point where my biggest client bought my business. And that happened when I turned 30 in 2012. And that was my dream. So I manifested, I made it happen. But in that business was rocking because I learned a skill. Facebook advertising is a skill. And if you have a skill and you know how to create sales, then you'll never be broke as an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Like that skill is incredible. I can work with anybody that has a budget and that has a solid product, and we can grow their business. And so once I sold that company, and I had that aha moment of, looking at my life and saying, wow, this is not what I expected. I thought that I was going to be so happy with this money. And, like right now, I mean, it's so bright. I look like there's like the sun on me because I'm sitting almost like on the ocean. Like I'm on the bay here in San Diego, and I've got the nice place and the water and the view. And John Dumas is my buddy, lives up top. And it's awesome, but it means nothing if you're not happy. And so sold the business, got the material things, and was like, man, I'm alone, I'm single, I'm out here. Like, this is not what I expected. I've got a nice couch now, beats my grandma's couch that I had because I couldn't afford anything because I was so broke from all these businesses. But that's when I had that aha moment and realized that it's not the destination. It's loving your life today. It's the journey. And that's when I, had that realization, the aha moment, crying literally on my balcony that's right there. And that's when I hired a business coach. And I had a friend that suggested, I was broken. I was broken down. And my friend was like, you need a business coach. And I was like, I know what they are, but I've never even had one. I don't know any, and I hired the one that she had, and it just radically changed my life. She helped me get clear on what my purpose is, and I realized that I've been trying to love what I do for work and have purpose my whole life. And I was like, you know what? My purpose is actually helping other people find their purpose, which is interesting. And as a business coach, I help people connect to their meaning and figure that out. And when they figure that out, they're able to persevere through challenges. They're able to do anything. They're unstoppable. And so she helped me figure that out. And once I had that Life on Fire, she actually helped me she named my business Life on Fire, because Life on Fire is my story. That's my life. Is I've been a guy on a mission to live a life on fire. And now that I have that name, I have to live a life on fire. My brand is so powerful that if I'm ever becoming a workaholic again, I actually have to stop and check myself and say, you know what? That's not what my brand is. My brand is to enjoy my life, live a life on fire. So it's cool. It kind of reins me back in. And my goal as a business coach now is to help people get that life on fire and live it.
And what a crazy journey it's been, because, you went through the good times and the bad times, and, you know, you just couldn't quite find that purpose, but it was once you were able to hone in on that and sort of really focus on, I suppose, making an impact and, you know, making a difference, that things were able to start to click into place and those dots began to connect. And, you know, you mentioned it in the very beginning, the whole idea of not having the confidence to kind of go on your own. You always wanting to need a business partner. And I think that's something that goes through a lot of entrepreneurs' mind, because until you've, you know, traditionally made it, you're always worried about whether, you know, you're good enough on your own. So you want that kind of validation. But it goes to show, even when you do make it, that it doesn't actually mean that you're going to feel fulfilled and that confidence is still going to be there. You need to look a bit deeper and find the inner workings of who you are. And that's when the confidence breeds. And that's when you're able to start doing things which you might not have done otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally nailed it, man.
Cool, man. Well, before we finish up, if you would just offer a bit of advice, a bit of practical action to someone who is sort of maybe in that situation. They know they're working for themselves and they're thinking, well, I kind of like what I'm doing, but I feel like I'm chasing the wrong things. I know that I've got a bit more purpose and meaning to what I'm doing. I just can't quite, you know, figure out what it is right now. What could they do today to kind of help get them on that right path and hopefully avoid losing a few businesses along the way?
I mean, I think that it really boils down to the pursuit of really finding, you know, what makes you tick and really what lights you up and makes you happy. And because if you don't have that, we endure a lot as entrepreneurs. And if you don't have that, it's going to be easy to get taken out, you know, and any of these challenges can take you out of the game. So to figure that out, I think it first is look to modeling, meaning go online and look at who you want to be like. And you can, you know, for me, when I was a Facebook marketing expert, I looked at Mari Smith. You know, her background was turquoise. I made mine blue. She had a square with an M in the middle. I made mine a square with an NU in the middle. You know, I mean, I modeled what I thought I wanted, and then I took fast action. Because sometimes if you're trying to just consciously think about your purpose, it can be really challenging. You know, so it's like if you can look at what other people are doing and see what lights you up and see what your interests at, see what you're good at, and then look at what others are doing and say, all right, that's where I'm going to go towards. And the only way you're going to know is by doing it and experiencing it. So, you know, I had to be in real estate. I had to be in network marketing. I had to go through all these experiences to eventually find my way. So it's like finding your purpose. It's a combination of, you know, getting clear on this life that you want to live, seeing who else is doing it, and then just taking the fast action to turn over enough stones to experience it, to know if it is something that you like. And that's the thing of, you know, where fast action comes into play is the speed at which you implement ideas or strategies is going to determine your success. And that if you look at what I'm doing right now with Life on Fire and what a lot of people like regard me as is they're like, oh my God, you've got so much going on. Like I've got a book coming out, the virtual summit, live event. I mean, I got all this stuff happening, but you know, I found my purpose, but I'm still, you know, taking massive action to figure out, you know, exactly what Life on Fire, what is going to be the one thing that we prove to be the best in the world at, you know, and we're trying a lot of things. And so even though I have my purpose, now the business is only a year and a half old. So, you know, we're still working through those things, but we're moving so fast that we don't let something like our server crashing today ruin us, because we've got enough things happening fast enough that you don't have time to really be upset about those things. So the fast action is just so critical. And then surrounding yourself with people that you want to be like. Surround yourself with people that you would want as your mentor, you know, and that is another thing. Because when you're hanging out with people that, you know, are of a different mindset, you can't help it. It's like osmosis. They will filter down into you. And I love hanging out with people from my church. I love hanging out. Shoot, I just flew to San Francisco just to hang out with Alex Mendoza and Bill Barron, who are on our virtual summit. You know, I could have done it via Skype, but it's like, you know what? I'm going to fly to San Francisco because these people they're so inspirational and so amazing. I just wanted to be around them for a day. And it was worth it. 100% worth it. You know, so being around the right environment of people is key.
Absolutely, you know,
hanging out with guys like Matt is key.
Oh man, you're gonna make me blush.
Right?
Make me blush. Well, I suppose the big point is that it's an evolution. I mean, you don't just kind of understand your purpose and kind of define your brand overnight. I'm just going through, you know, my third brand iteration at the minute, you know, redesigning the site and the logo. But like you say, until you start taking a bit of action and try out ideas and actually, you know, live a bit of that entrepreneurial lifestyle, it's difficult to really hone in on what you're good at, what you're not, what you want, what you don't, because you need to kind of practice. You need to trial a few things, see what works and what doesn't. You don't just kind of wake up one morning and go, this is my purpose. It's something that will forever evolve. And once you become conscious to that and say, I want to make an impact, I want to, you know, discover that purpose, now I'm just going to start that journey and see where it takes me in the next year, 3 years, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure. What an amazing journey it's been. And it's just fantastic for you to share that unique example, the one which you don't always share to everyone. And I think it's great to show that, you know, that confidence will breed over time. And, you know, once you find that true purpose of yours, everything will start clicking together. But until then, it may always be a bit of a struggle. So find that purpose, people. Start today. Nick, thank you ever so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, good luck with the virtual summit. I'll be putting links to it below, and everyone should definitely check it out because there's some amazing people on there. So thank you ever so much.
Thank you. See you guys.
Cheers.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on today's session of the Purple Coffee Podcast. And a big thank you to Nick for sharing his great mistake. It's a great one. I see a lot of people getting involved in network marketing, and it's not that I have anything against network marketing per se, but it's this reliance on something that is so often out of your control that scares me. When you're setting up a business of your own, it's about you and your business, and the moment you rely too heavily on an external agency or a process that you don't actually create, or one single client, then it's going to struggle. If they go under, if they do the dirty deed somewhere along the lines, it will have a huge impact on you. Today, Nick bases his entire life on him. He is the person who brings it in, him and his team. He doesn't rely on any one particular industry or area or company, anything like that. And it allows him to grow from strength to strength and really provide massive purpose to the world. So I took a lot from this. I hope you did. I love sharing these podcasts with you because I'm constantly learning from these amazing individuals, and it's my opportunity to share them with you. So please make some notes, re-listen, share it with someone who you think it can touch too, and take value from it. Go ahead and actually do something with it. It's one thing to listen to a podcast, it's another to actually go ahead and implement it into your world. But I think if you follow Nick, good things will come into yours. So, how do you follow Nick? Well, you can head on over to tdog.co/purplecoffee47. That's tdog.co/purplecoffee47. On there, you'll find links to his world like Twitter, website, and such, and all the show notes from today's session. And whilst there, please consider leaving a quick subscribe, rating, and reviewing on iTunes. It takes merely 2 minutes, if that, at the most. You can do it on your phone or laptop, and it would mean an awful lot to moi. Other than that, I bid you farewell and a tip-top day. Please reach out to me. It's one thing doing these podcasts and speaking to you. It's another speaking with you. That's when a conversation starts, and I need you to reach out to me on email or Twitter or something to say hello. So I encourage you to do that. Don't be shy. I don't bite. Not often, anyway. So that's it. For me, Turndog, peace.